It's Sunday, February 2nd, 2020, so it's time for another monthly update video. I'm going to be talking about what is coming up in February and what you might have missed in January. If you want to see links to the things I'm referencing, just click the see below in the video interface, and you'll see a whole bunch of links pop up. I always like to begin by highlighting three big things. And so big thing number one is that I'm going to be co-hosting a radio show either starting in late February or early March on River West Radio with Dan Hayes. It's called Wisdom for Life. I'll talk more about that in the February part. Second big thing is that the Philosophers in the Midst of History talk series, a quarterly series, kicks off for year 5 with a lecture and discussion that's focused on Epicurus and the Epicurean tradition. Big thing number 3 is that my wife Andy and I have both been asked to at the upcoming Stoicon X Toronto, which will be following right after Stoicon. So we're already getting, geared up for that sort of thing, and we'll be focusing on one of our standard talks, the Stoic Heart, which has to focus on relationships and particularly romantic relationships. So that's kind of a fun thing to be invited to. So those are the big things. Let's talk now about what happened in January. January was a bit of a slow month in some respects, certainly as far as events go. Although we did do something really, really cool, which is we have now started the first of what's going to be 12 monthly meetings for the year for the MKE, that's Milwaukee, Sophia, the Society of Philosophers in America. And so we'll talk more about that in the February section about how you can find us and where to go. But it's a local organization that is part of a national organization focused on doing philosophy in public ways. So we had our first meeting, and that went quite well. I'm quite happy about that. I also gave my talk in the year 5 of the Worlds of Speculative Fiction series on Mary Shelley. You can see the link to that video below. I did some online events, my usual Ask Me Anything session, a few impromptu things as well. I got a new mic, which you're hearing right now, and I did a session just about that. So there have been some philosophy pop-ups as well. And, January is the beginning of the new semester for many of my classes, so I've been gearing up for those. Started teaching my face-to-face class at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design and my online class for them as well. And I just recently, this last week, opened my class for the Second Chance Pell Program. That's prison students. That is through MATC. And I'm gearing up for starting Carthage College fairly soon. So I've been, doing some behind-the-scenes things on my business ethics class for Carthage as well. A lot of writing and collaborative work that I've been working on, not all of which has, necessarily been posted yet, but I'm working with a very bright graduate student on an interesting project having to do with causation and proairesis and what's in our power and what's not in our power in the Aristotelian and Stoic traditions, and doing some other writing and editorial work. We're gearing up to start working on publishing another collected essays volume for Stoicism Today. And, I've been in doing a lot of, back and forth communication about setting up talks here and there, speaking engagements. So that is what's been going on. And some client work as usual as well. Video work, I didn't get as much done as I had wanted to, in part because I spent a lot of the video time working specifically on core concept videos for my upcoming classes. So I shot some videos on James Dickey and his institutional theory of art, some new videos on Ayn Rand that I've been releasing recently, a video on Ursula K. Le Guin's The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, and a video on Hannah Arendt. I also created a video about trolley memes, and I'll probably follow up with that this month because it was quite a hit, talking about some of the interesting trolley memes that are out there. And of course, there's the event videos, the ones discussing the particular, authors and things that I've been working on. I also did some podcasting, and I did an interview for another podcast, the Rendering Unconscious podcast. Link to that is below. You can find. But I've been also releasing podcast episodes in January on René Descartes and on Parmenides, the poem that we have by him and the fragments that we have by him. So I've been putting a bit more time into the Sadler's Lectures podcast. And that is pretty much it for what went on in January. There's a lot of, downtime, a lot of getting back to the gym and working out and sort of, just consolidating for the year ahead. What's coming up in February? It's going to be a pretty busy month. There's a lot going on. So let's start with the events first. If you're here in the local area, and local area doesn't just mean Milwaukee. It could be driving down from the Fox Cities. It could be driving up from Chicago. It could also be driving over from, Madison and that area if you want to. Actually, we've had people come to our events from as far as Michigan, believe it or not. So Milwaukee Sophia is on the 4th at 6 p.m. at the Mitchell Street Library. We're having our second meeting, which is focused on friendship and relationships. And we're going to be talking a little bit about Cicero, but you don't necessarily have to have read Cicero to his On Friendship in order to make sense of it. We're going to have a sort of open discussion about all sorts of ins and outs about relationships and what philosophy can actually contribute to helping us understand them better. The day after that, Wednesday the 5th, we'll have the aforementioned Philosophers in the Midst of History session at 6 p.m. at the Frank Weinberg Library up in Mequon. Again, another local event. That is on Epicurus and the Epicurean tradition. So I'm going to be talking about, the history of that Epicurus and his followers fit into, and how he also left his mark, his influence on history as well. Then the next week, on the 12th at 5 p.m., I'll have my monthly Hegel Q&A and discussion session. So anybody who wants to come in and video conference and talk about Hegel can do so. Then on the 13th, the day after that, 7 p.m. at the Brookfield Public Library, we'll be having our next Worlds of Speculative Fiction series lecture and discussion. And this time it's focused on China Miéville and the Boslog novels, which are, quite lush and interesting. Should be a really fun discussion to have. On the 22nd at 12 noon, Central Time, of course, I'll be having my monthly Ask Me Anything session, so you can pop in and get involved in the chat, ask me questions. You want to leave your questions early because I always get more than I can ever answer in any given period. Then later that day at 2 p.m. on the 22nd, we have the Philosophy Chat for Patreon supporters. And then we round out the month on the 29th with a video premiere that I was supposed to get done this month, but wasn't able to get to, unfortunately. That'll be at 12 noon, and I'll be talking about how to study Augustine of Hippo effectively. I'm also doing another workshop, but it's only available for Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design faculty. And that's coming later in the month. That's specifically on incorporating videos and lecture capture into your classes. But that's one that I actually have done for a lot of other venues. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, that's something that people book me for to come in and give talks about, since I do so much video work. That's a good segue into talking about the videos for the month. So I mentioned that I didn't get the Self-directed study, Sadler's advice video on Augustine done. I'm going to get that hammered out this month, and start continuing that series. We'll have a video premiere for that, a little online party. Core concept videos, I've got some more RAND videos to release, and I've also got some videos on Leo Tolstoy. And I'm going to be shooting some new videos on Peter Singer as well for my online ethics classes, so I'll be releasing those to you. And what else do I need to do? I got to do some half-hour Hegel videos, got to do some book reviews, and I'm probably going to do another Sadler Responds video about the topic of people giving unsolicited and undesired advice, because I'm finding it's quite needed. It's nice to have those videos that I can just say, see this, plunk, and then they can watch it or not watch it. The podcast, I am in the middle of doing some Anselm footage for that, taking videos and converting them into podcast episodes. And I'm doing all the proslogian, and I might go on and take the videos that I created on freedom of choice and do that, or I might just jump into another author. The podcast, I'm thinking, who else do I want to do for this month? I haven't quite decided yet, but I have lots and lots and lots of voice files that I can convert over. It's just a matter of finding the time to do so. And, I'm doing all the other usual stuff this month. My classes will all be in full swing in February. I've got lots of, client connections and work. I've got a lot of meetings going on with various institutions that may want me to come in and give a talk or book me for something else. A lot of editorial work, a lot of writing work. So that is going to keep me busy. And, I'm going to try to stick with the exercise schedule. Other than getting ill from time to time, I've been more or less able to do that, and so I'm kind of gratified about that. And that's really about it. I'm not traveling anywhere, fortunately, this month that I know about. And, the classes are going pretty well. And, it's cold outside, but that's the way it should be here in Milwaukee in the winter. So everything is more or less on track. That's it from me. I hope that you have a great month ahead. And if you're in the area, consider coming to some of these local events. If you do, introduce yourself to me and say that you heard about it on this video. Otherwise, you can stay tuned for videos of the events that we do have coming up. And I hope that everything goes well for you.